Good morning, everyone. My name is Shelby Putnam, and I am a JH Israel Junior Board member. It's good to see you guys. So I'm excited to welcome our very special guest this morning. Her name is Joan Leslie McGill. She is also a JH Israel Junior Board member, and she is Chief of Staff for U.S. Israel Education Association, which is an organization that educates senior members of Congress on the U.S.-Israel relationship. And Joan Leslie is just a great leader and boss, and it's such an honor to work with her. And she's just such a woman of God and such a prayer warrior. And it's such a sweet gift to hear from her this morning. So if everyone would just welcome Joan Leslie.
Thank you, Shelby. So sweet and so good to be with all of you this morning. It's a very rainy morning here in Birmingham, Alabama, but whenever I come on these calls, I always just wake up in the morning and just ask God for his fresh manna word for today about Israel, because here we are, hundreds of days into this war, and you all know better than anyone as the intercessors that we're just searching for God to give us the fresh word for today. What is he saying today about this conflict? What is he saying today about the United States and our support for Israel? And it's honestly a lot to keep up with, because when it comes to the United States and what we're saying to the public about our support of Israel, it is changing on a daily basis. I'm sure y'all are watching the news, you're watching everything that's happening. And even just last week, I'm sure you had several speakers kind of point and talk about this, but how this current administration is withholding certain weapon sales to Israel. And they're putting all of these caveats around it. They're saying, oh, well, we will send defensive weapons. We'll make sure Iron Dome is fully stocked. We'll make sure that they have what they need to defend themselves, but we won't send any offensive weaponry. So no more artillery shells, no more JDAMs. We won't send them the things they need that they could use to prosecute a war. And so I think that I've been on here before, and we've kind of talked about that double speak that is coming out of the United States government, that they're saying one thing out of one side of their mouth and another thing out of the other side of their mouth. And I have also gotten on here and spoken about how I believe that the United States is in a very critical moment in our nation's history, where I think God is keeping his hand on us because of our support for Israel. And it concerns me when I see an administration that wavers back and forth in their support of Israel, that it's not unequivocal, that it is not absolute. And I find it interesting as we are heading into an election season. We've been in election season, but it's going to only be ramping up from here to November, that God is shaking some things. And isn't that kind of the word for the moment, even outside of Israel, that the Lord is shaking everything that can be shaken, and that those things will fall away if they can be shaken. And then what remains is the resolute things, the true things. And I am praying and seeking the Lord in this election season and in this time in the war in Israel, that I'm actually asking the Lord to keep going. God, keep shaking the things that can be shaken and let them fall away. I don't want to see any more facades about Israel. I don't want to see people speaking out of one side of their mouth and meaning something completely different. I want leaders in place that are going to stand resolute with Israel, that are going to support on behalf of the United States, that full and absolute support for Israel, and praying that whatever is underneath there, I think that's the prayer, whatever is underneath, that there will be that resoluteness, that there will be leaders that have that singular mindset to know how to support Israel to the very end. And so I'm just asking the Lord to drop all deception, to drop all facades, to drop any person, organization, anything that is confusing this, and to replace it with righteous leaders, righteous rulers in this time. And that, do not hear me say that I am pro one presidential, candidate over another, because that's not what I'm saying. But I am just submitting to the Lord that he'll shake away the fake people. and that he will cause the true people to rise up into positions of leadership. And it is so, I'm not really an alarmist, I don't think like, oh, the United States is on the verge of collapse. But I do think that it's just important to recognize the time that we're standing in. And I think you all as intercessors do recognize that time. Otherwise, you would not be on this call day in and day out. But I think just remembering the time that we're standing in and how it's all converging on itself, that we've got Israel inside of this war at the same time that we've got the United States inside of a very consequential election for many reasons, even outside of Israel. But it's all converging on itself. And I think the Lord is continuing to do his work in that unfolding as things are converging, and that we're going to see he's going to make things plain and he's going to make things clear. Whereas we've seen a lot of confusion, honestly, out of the United States over our support for Israel. I think he's going to begin to make things clear. So that's really my update for y'all. That's what's on my heart this morning. I know that's a quick update, but I think, again, if I could point back to one core prayer, it's, Lord, continue to shake the things that can be shaken and reveal the things that are absolute, that can stand true and resolute. And that is what I think his word is for us this morning. And that's true too in our prayers for the Israeli government. They have their own set of confusion and very differing opinions over there about who should be leading Israel and why and how. And I'm just calling forth that this is the year that God's handpicked rulers in both the United States and Israel will be revealed, and anyone that is coming against God's eternal plans and purposes for Israel and the United States will just fall away, will just be shaken away. And so that's where I am this morning, and that's what I would love for us to pray into.